Today, Ben Carson appeared before the House Financial Services Committee where he could not understand a normal, fundamental, basic acronym that's directly related to his department, Housing and Urban Development, which he was a neurosurgeon. I don't know why he's qualified to lead Housing and Urban Development, but Trump heard urban, saw a black guy that supported him, and then there we go. That's the connection that we have there. That's how well his mind works, and he's not doing a great job, as you can see from this exchange with Representative Katie Porter, who is the protege of Elizabeth Warren and is a representative from California and a phenomenal progressive.
I'd also like you to get back to me, if you don't mind, to explain the disparity in REO rates. Do you know what an REO is?
An Oreo?
No, not an Oreo. An REO. REO.
Real estate?
What's the O stand for?
Organization?
Owned. Real estate owned. That's what happens when a property goes to foreclosure. We call it an REO. Mm-hmm. And FHA loans have much higher REOs. That is, they go to foreclosure rather than to loss mitigation or to non-foreclosure alternatives like short sales than comparable loans at the GSEs.
So REOs are real estate owned properties. Not the cookie. He's the head of housing. I mean, like, even if you blanked for a second, why would you think Oreos? Seriously, REOs. So real estate owned properties, housing, and truly, is this a very common term? Was she pulling it out of nowhere? Could Ben Carson feasibly be competent at his position and not know this? No, that's really what it comes down to. Carson was evidently unaware that his own department has a common terms and acronyms page which clearly defines REO as real estate owned in reference to defaulted FHA insured properties. HUD even has an entire website dedicated to REO listings. So again, if you or me or your grandma or your uncle or your friend Bobby doesn't know what REO is and makes a joke about how it's Oreos, totally normal. This guy's the head of Housing and Urban Development. It speaks to a couple things. One, what I pointed out earlier, that he was completely unqualified, and Trump's appointment of him to this position is in itself a bizarrely racist and like completely ignorant decision. And secondly, it's just a fundamental aspect of the Trump administration. So Betsy DeVos is another example of a government employee who is supposed to be representing an industry and is completely ignorant to the goings-on in said industry. She's someone who wants to dismantle public schools altogether and is a private school lackey, but is heading the industry that is supposed to be spurning public school growth and is completely ignorant about the mechanics of her position. Ben Carson is the same. But I mean, Betsy DeVos is an even more excusable person because at least she's worked in the education field. Ben Carson just lied about getting stabbed in a belt buckle in a bad area. And he went around and gave speeches at Republican fundraisers to make a quick buck about saying, you know, I'm a black guy that pulled myself up by my bootstraps, so it's what's wrong with all black people. It's not your systemic racism. It's I was able to do it and I agree with you guys. So he has no connection to this department and has no intellectual curiosity about it, clearly. And so the third point I want to make is those people are put in positions in government not to do a good job, but to do a bad job. First of all, it's a favor to people who have supported him. That's 100% true, supported Trump, putting them in these positions. But secondly, Trump doesn't care about governing. The Republican Party doesn't care about governing. They never have. They are an ungoverning party. They want to dismantle government. They want to dismantle regulations. They want to make private industry paramount. They want to combine private industry with the government. It's a corporatocracy. And that's really what this is all about. So it doesn't really matter to Trump that Ben Carson is terrible at his job, or that he has no qualifications in housing and urban development. And he's a black guy. Urban development makes sense to him. because doing a good job does not matter. It's never mattered to Trump his entire life. And for the purposes of the Republican Party that wants to dismantle bureaucracy and anything that helps people, he's perfect.